Hey everybody, I am on board the Asterix Combat Support Ship, which is owned by Federal Fleet, and I'm joined by John Schmidt, who is the CEO and President of Federal Fleet. John, thank you so much for taking the time.
Jody, great to have you on board. You know, this is a proud moment anytime we get an opportunity to talk to folks and spread the word about what we're doing here on the Asterix, because we're not standing on our laurels. The fact that we've been operating for 6 years flawlessly with the RCN and our NATO allies in providing combat support ship capabilities such as refueling, cargo transfers, landing helicopters, providing HADR capabilities to the Navy and to our NATO countries. So we're kind of excited today because we've had you on board, Jody, to show you a little bit about what we're planning for the future. So one of the important things for us, for our crew and our ship, is to be able to defend her in some of the domains that we operate. So we are installing the NiDAR system. I think you just had an explanation of that. And that is being totally funded by Federal Fleet Services. So we decided that we need to invest in the security of our people and our ship as well. So drones, as we all know, have become the scourge in warfare today. And not that we'll be operating in a war zone. Supply ships don't operate actively in war zones. We do supply vessels that work in war zones, but we're usually standing back away from the actual action. However, sometimes the action comes upon you without you even know it, and that's where drones come in. So we decided we went through a fairly rapid selection process and selected the NiDAR MARSS system. The MARSS NiDAR system, to be 100% correct. And as Ryan explained, I won't go into I don't think you need me to go into the explanation of that, Jody. I think we have a good explanation of how that works.
Right.
But we found them to be the best system available on the market today. This is not technology that's exploratory. This is a proven system. And that system has an ability to detect drones for about 250 miles out. And then we can decide what sort of actions, defensive actions we take to protect ourselves from that activity. So
it's a really neat capability, John, and the fact that Federal Fleet is leading this initiative obviously speaks to exactly what you spoke about. You know, you want to protect the crew, that it's a Federal Fleet crew that is on board this ship, but it's also Royal Canadian Navy personnel.
Right.
So talk to me a little bit about integrating this capability onto Asterix and the coordination you've had with the Royal Canadian Navy to do so.
Right. So obviously, the Navy has a vested interest in everything that we do on board the ship, and rightly so. Under our provision of services agreement, which the general public would refer to as a lease, we work together collaboratively on everything we do. So we came to the Navy with our idea, our intent, to move forward with installing a drone system, or a drone protection system, or as some people call it, counter-UAS capability. So we discussed and dialogued with the Navy, and basically looking to seek their permission, but also their collaboration in the installation to make sure that they felt we were doing everything possible to eliminate the risk to their crew, but also to the vessel, and also any neighboring vessels that are working with us. In other words, that we had no spurious signals that could trigger a misoperation on their vessels. So we're going through all those engineering activities, design studies, if you will, taking all the measures necessary to protect against that. And we said basically to the Navy at the highest level, until you're 100% comfortable with what we've done and what we're doing on installing the NiDAR system, we will not operate that system. And so that's how we're walking through this process. You've seen some naval personnel on board the vessel today, so they're working with us as we make progress in the install. We're showing what we're doing. And then once the system's installed and commissioned, they'll be part of the commissioning process. And as part of the standard operating procedures that we're developing collaboratively, and how we'll actually operate the system when we're at sea. So it's very important that they step with us that we're in lockstep together as we move forward. And that's been the way we've operated in the last 6 years, Jody. Everything we do, every standard operating procedure, every RAS operation, every cargo transfer, everything we do is in collaboration, one party working with the other. And it's been a fantastic model of success. And you know, we're building on a history of this kind of success, because those who are around my age remember, somewhat remember, you know, the success that we achieved in World War II with the merchant mariners.
Right.
You know, they were the backbone of the resupply of Europe, and everybody knows the history of what happened in the resupply in the Battle of the North Atlantic, that the merchant mariners, I'll say, not led the charge, but were participating alongside their naval brethren in the success of World War II. So, and there's lots of examples moving forward through history where navies have collaborated with merchant mariners to deliver the service. And we believe we're doing it here. What we're doing here is exemplary, and I think the record shows it. No lost days at sea.
Yeah, I find that specific metric absolutely, like, I mean, so incredibly impressive. No lost days at sea. So therefore, every mission that the Asterix has been tasked with, that Federal Fleet has committed to, you guys have been there.
That's right, Jody. Yep. We just finished a mission where we did 95 straight days at sea. I think we did 32 or 34 RAS operations. We were actually deployed for 85 of those days, and all the missions were achieved.
It's a wonderful testament to this capability and to the Federal Fleet initiative to develop this capability and to get it out there to the customer. In this case, the Royal Canadian Navy and allied navies that you guys are supporting.
That's right, and I think it's important to mention that we, you know, I think we've done as many RASs with our NATO brethren as we have with the RCN. So again, we're projecting Canadian technology, we're projecting Canadian capability. And I think that's what the beauty of the Asterix has been. It's been a shining example of what Canada can achieve when we really put initiative together. And so everybody that operates the ship, very proud to be part of, almost consider themselves as part of the Navy, serving, you know, and ready to help our brethren anytime.
I love it. I love it. Thank you, John. That was wonderful. I appreciate you explaining that.
My pleasure.
Thank you. So, hey everybody, welcome to Go Bold. I am on board the Asterix Combat Support Ship, and we are in Esquimalt, British Columbia right now, and I'm joined with Ryan Walker, who is with Federal Fleet Services. Ryan, thank you so much for joining me today.
Yeah, not a problem. Really a pleasure to be with you.
Thank you. So you're going to give me a little bit of a briefing on the NiDAR installation, which will go on MV Asterix. Please feel free to start and just talk me through what NiDAR is and what it will bring to this ship.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, appreciate the time today to talk with you. Just a brief introduction of me, Ryan Walker. I'm the IT Communications Manager with Federal Fleet Services. I've been with Federal Fleet since early November of 2022, so just within my first year. Previously worked at St. Mary's University in Halifax, Nova Scotia in their IT department, and then the predominant portion of my career was 27 years in the Canadian Army as a signals officer. So kind of coming back home to Asterix in terms of that working with or integration with the Canadian Armed Forces. So it was really exciting to join Federal Fleet back in November. Presentation I'm going to go through, I'll just give you a quick overview of what NiDAR is. We're going to show where we're going to be placing new sensors or capabilities on board the ship, and then go through the long list of partners that are helping us out with this installation. As we say, it takes a village, and it's not just myself and the MARSS team putting this together for us. There is a long list of suppliers and contractors that are helping us out with the installation. And obviously we'll end off with any discussion points or any questions on topics or areas that we want a little bit more information on.
Awesome, thank you.
So the NiDAR overview. If you ask, in the 6 months or so that I've been working with MARSS, of course I've asked them, what does NiDAR stand for? Is it an acronym? Is it something real? They actually the team that I was working with, they came back with NiDAR is actually from Somali mythology, and it's the god of making right from wrong. So there is a bit of background on what NiDAR is. It's not some fancy acronym. It's a bit of Somali mythology just to say, making right from wrong. And that's really what NiDAR does. It is an analytical capability that takes any sensors that you want to integrate with the system, does analysis, and then provides options to an operator with respect to, in our case specifically, looking at counter-unmanned aerial systems, or commonly known as drones. And that's really what the system is. It's a counter-drone capability where we're able to extend the ears and eyes of Asterix out even further using NiDAR to understand or have better situational awareness of our surroundings with respect to drones, but also small craft as well that this system will be able to pick up and analyze. So just briefly, talking about extending our eyes and ears, we're now out, we're able to see and hear out to beyond 25 kilometers. And with, I'll go through later the sensors that we'll be putting on board, but the radar systems that will be on board will be able to start picking up those drones or small craft. I'll use the term target. That's not to say that it's safe or a threat, but just in general terms, the target gets detected. And as it comes closer to Asterix, we're able to start adding other layers of sensors and capabilities. We start listening to the radio waves. So we'll have radio frequency interceptors on board that will listen to both those connections that are controlling the drones, but also the common commercial beacons and transponders that are out there that commercial aircraft and commercial shipping use to announce their position or transpond. We're going to add those in, and we're going to bring in more radio frequency intercept capabilities to do that larger analysis. And as we get closer in, we'll be able to bring visual aids such as a new camera on board to actually visually see, to allow the operator to make a more informed decision where NiDAR will be saying, hey, I see this, I hear this, this is what I think it is. And then the operator has to decide whether it's safe or a threat based on that information or based on a visual analysis using, for example, the camera. I just want to, I'm trying to reinforce that NiDAR will do nothing other than present what it is seeing and hearing. The operator on the bridge will be making those decisions to affect that target, to decide whether it's safe or a threat. And if it is a threat, then look at some of the countermeasures or other capabilities that we'll have on board available to them to address that situation. So where are we putting NiDAR? And this is all net new pieces of equipment or sensors on board. We'll also be leveraging some things that are already on board, like our AIS system, our X-band radar. We'll be integrating those in or pulling in the feeds from those systems into NiDAR to assist with its analysis. So these are the items that are net new, and we'll just start at the flag mast. We'll be looking to place an S-band RPS42 radar, basically an air surveillance radar. Also, the ADS-B Ping Station 3 is the commercial air transponder receptor, so we'll be able to receive any of the commercial airlines transponders. The Night Navigator 4485, it's a Current Corp camera product that provide day and night. And actually, sorry, I have some slides on each of these things, which I'll get in more to the range and other capabilities that it brings. And then an RF, Skyview RF intercept dome on the main mast. On the bridge, top bridge, will be a loudhailer and a searchlight on both the starboard and port sides. And then on the bridge, we'll be installing a brand new console that will support a 20 or 55-inch touchscreen console. And as well, we'll have a smaller 27-inch screen off in the center line to support the bridge staff. It gives them two locations to be able to observe NiDAR from a small workstation perspective, but then also to have a consultation or a round table, so to speak, on the 55-inch touchscreen. And then down on main deck, we'll be installing the NiDAR servers in one of our server facilities on board. So just going quickly through, as I said, the RPS42ESPAN radar. It's an air surveillance radar. It'll provide obviously in best conditions, it'll provide a range of approximately 20 to 30 kilometers. So we'll be able to start seeing those aerial targets, and it is focused down to the Class 2 drone, where not the miniature or micro drones, but those sort of next level up. We'll be able to see those out again at the 20-kilometer range. Again, the Ping Station 3, that's the commercial transponder, that has a range of approximately 300 kilometers. So we'll be able to really stretch out and be able to hear those commercial airliners or other commercial aircraft that have those transponders. That'll give us that extra information on what we're seeing. As I said, the current Corp Night Navigator 4485, so night and day camera, as well can be have visualization of targets out to 20 kilometers. It also has a laser rangefinder out to 5 kilometers and a laser dazzler as well. Skyview MP is a radio frequency intercept. So what it's looking for is the common frequencies that that drones are operated from. Typically drones are operated in the Wi-Fi ranges, so that 2.4 to the 5 gigahertz range, but also down now they also use sort of the 1 gigahertz range as well. So this is programmed to be listening to that range of the spectrum, and then adding on to that, we'll also be looking at the GPS frequency ranges, which is also another method that is used to control or navigate drones. So it's listening to the radio waves to find those frequencies and listen for items that are being controlled. And it'll also do an assessment of where the drone is, but also do an assessment of where the operator is located that is operating that drone to provide better situational awareness. The LRAD 950 NXT loud hailer. So this is a loud hailer that can provide either tone or recorded messages out to 3 kilometers, again in best conditions. It also comes with a light and a camera of its own. We'll generally not be using those devices because we'll have the Night Navigator camera, and we'll also have, what I'll talk about next is the CL25 searchlight. Again, best conditions, this will project lights out to 3 kilometers to be able to light up either aerial targets or water surface targets. I'll just speak to these two items, and as well obviously with the camera. They're all remote controlled from the NiDAR console. So the operator can choose a capability and then either ask NiDAR to move the capability or point the capability at the target themselves, or they can manually say, well, I want to adjust the position of the searchlight, or I want to move the camera around on my own. So NiDAR will assist where you can tap and say, yes, show me what you see with that target, or the operator can say, well, I want to adjust. I want to look at it from a different angle, or I want to see around that target to see what's going on around it. And then the last bit is, as I mentioned, building a custom-made console to support the 55-inch touchscreen, and then a small working table to support the smaller 27-inch. That gives the bridge staff an option of using either. This is talking about all the bits and pieces. You say, oh, that's just a couple of sensors that you have to bolt onto the main mast and the flag mast, and not a lot there. Well, it's doing all the connections between those items down to the server room, to the servers, all the cabling required on the bridge to connect all those consoles. You say over 1 kilometer of cable on a ship. That's not a lot. If you look at any of the cable runs, there's a lot of cable on the ship, but it just shows the complexity of this project and this capability, that it's just not running a couple of cables up the main mast. There is a lot of runs to be able to do. Multiple junction boxes, lots of power converters around the ship to power these items, make them work, and do the interconnections. So as I talked in the introduction, it's not just myself and the MARSS team bolting this onto the ship. We've got a laundry list of suppliers and contractors that I really couldn't do this without, and I really appreciate all the support we're getting from all these organizations. Obviously, MARSS is the provider of the NiDAR system. They're the ones that are the prime provider of it. Our cable installation is being done by Emery here in Victoria. Outstanding assistance from them, as well as Canadian Maritime Engineering, CME, is doing all the sensor installations and bracket fabrication. Pretty much anything that has to be made or metal bent, they're providing that support to us. As we talked about, the Night Navigator 4485 is from Current Corp, local BC company. We're really happy to be working with them. And I believe we're the first Canadian company to actually bring one of their capabilities on board. A Canadian company buying one of their capabilities. So really excited about bringing them on board. Genesis is a company out of the United States that is providing the LRAD Loudhailer, and they'll be actually on board next week to commission that system and help us out with that. Greg's Maritime Interiors are building the custom consoles and desk up on the bridge. So really excited about bringing them on board and helping us out with that. OSI is our company that provides our bridge system. So we have a bit of feeds that we have to pull off. And as I mentioned earlier, the navigation feeds and the AIS is going to be brought into the NiDAR system. So they're helping us out with some reconfiguration to bring that across. Neptune Cyber is our integral network support organization that provides our network and help desk on the IT computer side. And they're obviously helping with the network connectivity on board and the switching of their NiDAR servers up and through the ship. Seacoast is helping us out. We need to integrate and pull a feed off of one of our X-band radars on board, and they're helping us out with providing a unique cable to connect in. And then L3, RADHAZ stands for radiation hazard. So we're doing a study to really understand what are the hazards that the S-band radar, the RPS42, brings to the ship. And we have to have that understanding because we have to know when we're operating that radar, where we can have people walking around. But also the unique capability of Asterix is that we do refueling, we do ammunition resupply. So those are two other aspects that we have to do an analysis to say, what is the effect of this radar on fueling operations and also exposure to ammunition, which is an extremely important aspect as we're doing replenishment at sea, both for fuel and for ammunition. We really want to understand is if we have this radar operating, what is the impact of those operations, and make any adjustments to make it safe. And if it means turning the radar off when we're refueling, then we'll do that to ensure that the safety of the personnel, both from Federal Fleet and our partners with the Navy, is kept to a high standard. So I'll say that's really the big key points that I want to bring to sort of explain what NiDAR is and where we're putting it on the ship and what the capability that it'll bring. And I'd like to go back to, it's really extending the eyes and ears of Asterix to provide better situational awareness with respect to drones and small craft that are working in and around the ship and provide a better decision-making tool for the bridge staff and our partners with Canadian Forces and the Navy to say, this is what I see, this is what I hear, and here's some options for you to make a decision. And so really excited about getting the system installed on Asterix. I've seen some demonstrations. I've worked with the system, working with MARSS over the last few months. So I'm really excited to see it on the bridge and to show the bridge team what this brings to our operations and looking forward to getting their feedback on what they like and what they'd like to see in the future. That's what I have. Are there any questions or any follow-up you have?
Yeah, thank you, Ryan. That was really interesting, and I find it this is so topical today because unmanned aerial vehicles, they're ubiquitous. But now we've seen examples in the war in Ukraine that unmanned aerial vehicles are being used as weapons, and so it's a capability, the ability to locate and hopefully deceive or to warn off unmanned aerial vehicles that could potentially be a threat to a ship like the Asterix is so important. Right. I find it fascinating that you guys are taking on this initiative. How Federal Fleet owns this ship, and so this is a really unique collaboration because I don't believe the Royal Canadian Navy has this capability. And so, as far as I know, Asterix will be the first ship which is supporting the Royal Canadian Navy that will have such a capability.
Yeah, absolutely. The Royal Canadian Navy doesn't have NiDAR specifically. Obviously, their ships have other capabilities, and you know, I can't really speak to them specifically. I would ask, you know, to ask that question to them.
Sure.
But this is now that partnership of saying Federal Fleet has taken the initiative to put this capability on board, and we are working closely with the Royal Canadian Navy right now to talk about. I've just talked about the installation and what it'll do. We have another large exercise going on in working with the Navy is, okay, well, how are we going to operationally employ this great capability, and how do we balance what Asterix will now bring to the table, and then how does that either integrate with or support the other capabilities that the Royal Canadian Navy, if we are alongside a frigate or other vessel, or even within the allied communities, you know, Asterix does refueling to our NATO partners and other partners in Asia and Pacific as well. So it's really having those discussions about this is what we bring to the table, and when are within or close to Navy vessels, what are the standard operating procedures, what are the protocols that we have to sort of develop and follow to ensure that we're adding value and not obviously taking away or degrading capability of the navies that are supporting us from a force protection perspective. But then also we have to understand when we're sailing alone, and there are times that, you know, there isn't a Navy or a nice gray vessel in close proximity. You know, in those situations or scenarios, what is the standard operating procedure, and how can we employ this capability to best provide force protection, balancing that with working with the Federal Fleet master or captain of the ship and the commanding officer of the Naval Replenishment Unit that's on board. How do you work together to ensure that the safety and security of Asterix is maintained, and that, again, there isn't any overlap or degradation of other capabilities that could be used to counter the perceived threat.
Right, and so that's kind of the whole objective of this, not only to give Asterix the capability, but to develop these tactics, techniques, and procedures. Mm-hmm. So it's really interesting because not only is this a detection capability, but there's also the potential to evade or I guess what would be a good way, evade or to render ineffective a potential threat that's a UAV or a drone. And what I'm referencing is the Dazzler element to this. I find that really interesting.
Yeah, it's and the positive about NiDAR is I've sort of described the capabilities that we're bringing on in the next couple of weeks, and the beauty of NiDAR is it's very modular. So if there are other capabilities that Federal Fleet says, you know, hey, you know, next year we want to bring this to the table, that can easily be integrated with a bit of coordination with MARSS to say, we're looking for this type of capability. They obviously have some set standards that they say, well, that type of thing, we work with these things already and they're easily integratable. We can then bolt those things on down the road to say, you know, we've found after using the system for so many months that, you know, our next bound or our next plan to enhance this capability, we would like to look at X, Y, Z or ABC. And that's the positive nature of NiDAR. It's not a, okay, we got to buy a new system. No, we just have to buy that sensor or that capability and bring it to the core that's already installed on Asterix. And so we'll use the tools we have. We'll get, you know, become experts at them, really feel our way through over the next 6 months, and then make any adjustments. But from a countering a drone or countering a small craft, we do have a few tools in our tool chest with the capabilities that I mentioned. Not only the laser dazzler, the searchlight could be used as a deterrent, you know, especially at night. If you have a drone that's has an IR capability, you can all of a sudden blind them. the loud hailer as well, from a small craft capability, it's being able to tell someone that, you know, we see you, and we would like you to you know, change your course of action. And so, yeah, we have a few tools from the counter perspective, and like I said, the beauty of NiDAR is we can expand on that if we feel is necessary down the road, that we want to add other tools or capabilities to provide a bigger, both from a detection and, you know, those eyes and ears, but also from a countermeasure perspective.
Yeah, right on. And so, you know, you referenced in your presentation the consoles that are going to be on the bridge of the Asterix. I had the opportunity a little bit earlier to take a look at the bridge, and there's, you know, a lot of real estate there, so it's just a great spot, obviously, to put a console of this nature. Mm-hmm. But to what degree is this system automated in terms of both detection and, I guess, the type of action you might want to take in terms of countering any threat, potential threat?
Yeah, so I'll just start and really reiterate, NiDAR will autonomously do an analysis of what it sees and hears and present that information to the operator. At no time will it activate or engage a capability or not sensor, but for example, it'll see or hear something, it'll determine that it's a track or a target, it'll put it on the screen, it will orientate the camera to that track or thing, but that's the extent it will go, and then it'll ask the operator, please conduct your own analysis of this thing based on the information that I'm providing you. Is it safe or is it a threat? Once you say it's safe, obviously it'll turn green, and NiDAR wants to say it won't ignore it, but it'll still be there. But if you determine it's a threat, or you're not sure and you just say, well, I'll make it a threat right now, that's when NiDAR will then, as I said before, present you with those other options to counter that threat or get better situational awareness of exactly what it is. Things like, it would say, would you like to turn the camera on? I have a camera that can see that, but it takes the operator to tap that button to turn that camera on, to display it on the screen.
Right.
Same thing with the loud hailer. It'll say, well, there's a small craft coming close. The loud hailer on the port side is available. Would you like to employ it, operator? And the operator has to tap that button to say yes. Start energizing the loud hailer. The operator has to select the volume. The operator has to select whether it's a tone or whether it's a recorded message. And the operator has to press that button to turn it on and to turn it off. So from an autonomy perspective, NiDAR will do its analysis based on its data set in the servers on board autonomously, and it'll look and hear for those targets, and it'll present them autonomously to the operator on the bridge on the screens. From that point on, it is up to the operator to tell NiDAR what to turn on, what to turn off, what to engage, what to not to engage. It is completely a human intervention and human decision making for action. And that's one of the really positive things about NiDAR. It's just not off going on its own, turning on spotlights and doing things it sees that it should do. The operator always has to provide a command or a tap to tell it, I want you to do X, Y, or Z. So from a safety and owning the decision making, it is the bridge team and our partners with the Canadian Forces and the Royal Canadian Navy. It'll be their decision making to implement a solution against that track or that target.
Thank you, Ryan. I appreciate that. That was a kind of clarification. I was looking to try and understand the autonomous aspect in terms of detection, and then the actual control aspect, where you have to kind of figure out how you want to react to whatever you see.
Right.
Thank you very much. This has been really interesting. I'm excited to see this on the ship installed and out at sea. I think it'll be a great capability for Asterix and for Federal Fleet. What a fantastic initiative.
Yeah, thanks for your time. I'm actually, being on the office side, I'm actually, after all the work to get NiDAR operational on board, half of me wants to actually sit on that first sail and actually go out with her to see it in action. But unfortunately, I'm handing it over to the crew and the master of the ship, and I hope that they provide positive feedback and really say, yeah, this is a really enhances our capability in terms of, as I keep saying, extending the eyes and ears of Asterix to have better situational awareness.
Well, it's kind of interesting that you say that, because it's a great way to close off this discussion, because the Asterix is very much a multi-role ship.
Absolutely.
Yes, its primary role is to deliver fuel to the fleet, but it's a supply ship as well, and it can do so much more. It's got a huge flight deck, so you can do helicopter operations, and it's got a fantastic hospital aboard.
Absolutely.
So yeah, this is just adding to the capability, and I think it's a fantastic initiative. So thank you again very much for taking the time to speak with me.
Anytime, thank you.
Thank you.